As temperatures cool, the competition is hotting up in the 14th edition of the Ocean Race.
The ultimate leg.
Cold, grey,
Big breeze.
fast, super fast,
Amazing speed.
Big waves.
Intense.
World record.
good sport. Back in Europe as well.
We'll push to the max.
It's a sprint.
Fierce competition.
Furious.
No room for error.
Gulf Stream.
So let's ride it.
As preparations for Leg 5 are made in Newport, Rhode Island, the battle for top spot is at its closest since racing began. And for some, the grueling nature of the 4 previous stages of the Ocean Race are starting to take their toll. The first leg from Alicante to Cabo Verde and the second leg through to Cape Town were both dominated by Team Holcim PRB. They set the pace and quickly became the team to beat on top of the scoreboard. The third leg from Cape Town to Itajaí was the longest in 50 years of Ocean Race history. Kevin Escoffier's team once again took an early lead and picked up maximum points at the midway scoring gate, but the chasing pack closed the gap. And after a grueling battle through the Southern Ocean, Boris Herrmann's Team Militia overcame a barrage of challenges and flew into the lead on the home straight. They were first to touch dry land in Brazil, pushing the series leaders to second. Leg 4 saw the boats travel to Newport in what was undoubtedly the most dramatic leg of the race so far, with 2 of the boats not even able to finish the leg due to being dismasted in treacherous conditions. Holcim PRB lost their mast in the early stages of the race and were forced to head to the nearest port in Rio de Janeiro. As for Grio Environment Team Europe, their dismasting happened only 600 miles from the finish line, and an emotional crew headed to Halifax, Canada, after a punishing few weeks at sea. All of this meant it was the first win for 11th Hour Racing Team and a real moment to savour for skipper Charlie Enright as he made a return to his hometown.
Feels amazing to win this leg. I mean, take a look around. It's a dream come true.
Having taken 19 out of the first 20 available points in the first 3 legs, Holcim PRB's dismasting has a significant impact on the overall race standings, bringing the teams much closer together. Holcim PRB's lead is cut to just 1 point, with their rivals breathing down their neck on 18 points apiece. And with the next leg being worth double points, the top 4 teams are all still in with a shot at the title. As Dockout Day arrives, there's a team missing. While Holcim PRB were able to transport both their boat and a replacement mast to Newport in time to rejoin the race for Leg 5, Grio Environment Team Europe were sadly unable to do the same and had to settle for hopefully restarting in Leg 6. Leg 5 will see 2 high-profile additions to the Ocean Race roster, as former Ocean Race winning skipper Charles Caudrelier links up with his old teammate Kevin Escoffier at Holcim PRB, and 2-time IMOCA Globe Series champion Charlie Dallan joins 11th Hour Racing Team. And after a break for Leg 4, a rejuvenated Boris Herrmann returns to skipper Team Militia.
I'm looking forward to tonight when we actually are out in the ocean and we are fully into the racing.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the race. It's totally new for me to go in the north of UK. And I'm also happy to come back to Europe because since 5 months I never came back to Europe.
We have a westerly breeze on a course that's oriented north-south, so it's a lot of fetching. So there's not a ton of choice per se. And then when we get out of here, the weather's pretty hectic, so I'd say it's anybody's game.
For Holcim PRB and Kevin Escoffier, it's time for a return to sailing with a newly repaired mast.
Confidence in the boat, we've got it. Confidence in the crew, I have it. Confidence in the short team, they've shown that they are the best in this ocean race. So yes, I've got confidence of plenty of things and I will get the confidence in the race back in a few hours.
With poor weather conditions meaning the usual import race on Saturday is cancelled, there's an added twist to Dockout Day. as it's decided that the points will be awarded based on which team is quickest out of Newport on Sunday, effectively a mini race to get leg 5 underway. With the top 3 teams only separated by a point, the Import race series becomes crucial as it acts as a tiebreaker for the main points competition.
And Charlie Enright starts the Import race in Newport and the departure of leg 5 in first place with a very healthy 3 boat length lead.
As they set off from port, it's 11th Hour Racing team who make the strongest start.
No room, Militia, no room!
And this is great view here if Charlie Enright wanted to look behind, because there's a fight going on here. Yeah, Team Holcim PRB are pushing Team Militia high. Team Militia had the speed there. I'm not sure whether Team Holcim PRB, while they had the right to close out the German team, whether they would have been able to, but what an incredible moment at that start.
After their controversial move to get past Holcim PRB, it's Team Militia who take the points. But it's 11th Hour Racing team who maintain second place in the overall standings as they lead the Import race series. Compared to the longer and more arduous legs 3 and 4, leg 5 is a relatively short journey, beginning in Newport, Rhode Island, and ending 3,433 nautical miles, or 6,357 kilometers later, in Aarhus, Denmark. With the leg expected to last around 8 days, it's going to be an intense sprint with little room for error. As the teams make their way through the exclusion zones, 11th Hour Racing team make the best progress and overtake Team Militia to leave them second, with Holcim PRB a close third and Beerterm trailing in fourth. The wind builds, and for the moment, the boats enjoy flat, fast conditions. Holcim PRB settle into their new mast and have reason to believe they won't be third for long as their speed increases.
A bit higher and a bit faster.
Okay.
So come down a bit.
They're right to be optimistic as they overtake Team Militia and go into second place. However, as the boats continue to pick up pace, conditions start to become more challenging.
We've had wind in the mid to sometimes high 30s, and we just experienced a 40-degree shift in 2 seconds, so you can imagine what that does to the sea state. In a place that's already quite treacherous. So we're just trying to ride it out.
With conditions deteriorating, protecting the mast is on everyone's mind.
We just changed sails. We were fast with J2, but the boat was strong. We were pushing a bit too much the boat, I think. So for safety, we swapped to G3. It's a bit slower, but we want to keep the mast up.
As the sun rises, the boats are still travelling at speed. It makes for great racing, but life is uncomfortable on board.
Not the easiest start, huh? Bumpy. We are slamming again, huh? Slamming, slamming, slamming.
I have to say, the first days were horrendous. Like, everyone is just not speaking with each other, just sailing the boat. It's so brutal for the body to get back into this new rhythm. Especially when you leave Newport, okay, and then after one day, bumpy, slamming, like even worse than the Southern Ocean. And you're just like holding on, trying to survive. You got lifted out of your bunk and smashed down, and it was horrendous.
Unlike a more traditional navigation system, the IMOCAs are heavily reliant on an autopilot to steer them. The autopilot uses wind sensors on top of the mast that measure wind speed and angle coming into the boat. So when you lose one of those wind sensors, you aren't going to be getting the data you need to successfully navigate. When you lose two, you're in real trouble.
When the first one broke, it fell on the second one and ripped off the direction.
Although Holcim PRB do eventually get their wind sensors back up, they're far from satisfied with the result.
Got a temporary replacement until we can get up to the top. It's a bit too rough to go up at the moment. So yeah, we've got a slot on the back with a wand in it, which will give us wind readings. Just plugging it in now, so hopefully...
In fourth place, 40 miles behind the rest of the fleet, Beerterm's autopilot seems to fail. They lose all data, a critical issue that effectively leaves them with no way of steering the boat. Skipper Paul Mayer has to crawl underneath the cockpit floor in search of the fault, while Alan Roberts wrestles with the rudder to try and keep the boat under control. As if that wasn't bad enough, the team lose their J3 sail and a rapid change is required in perilous conditions.
Problem on the pilot ram. He was locked. So impossible to use the other one, impossible to steer. We remove the ram. I don't know, but 30 minutes after, the hook of the top hook of the G3 broke, and the G3 fall in the water. So we came at the front, but the sea is really, really cold. But I think the sail is not damaged, so it's a lot for 1 hour.
Team Milizia also encounter an issue when they break their J2 sail, causing them to drop back significantly on second-place Holcim PRB, while Beerterm's autopilot issues show as they begin to lag over 200 miles off first-place 11th Hour Racing Team. What was supposed to be a shorter, more manageable leg is rapidly becoming one of the most challenging journeys that the teams have faced so far. After a tough start to the leg, life on board continues to be uncomfortable for the 4 teams as they make their way across the Atlantic and approach the north coast of Scotland. There is an upside, as the leading 3 teams of 11th Hour Racing Team, Holcim PRB and Team Milizia all see unprecedented speeds on the water. Talk even turns to the possibility of a world record being set. The current monohull record for furthest distance travelled in a 24-hour period stands at 618 nautical miles. Ideal weather conditions and the cutting-edge design of the Amokas puts this record under serious threat, and all 3 of the leading teams look like they might break it. Eventually, it's Holcim PRB who achieve the feat, setting the mark of 640.91 nautical miles.
Today, we are the first IMOCA to break the 24 hours record, 640.95 miles.
If it seems like Kevin Escoffier is playing it cool, it's because he knows there's another team behind him who are also setting some impressive speeds.
We might broke the record of the monohull, 641 miles in 24 hours.
Hello? Hello? Can you tell us?
Yeah, please.
We would like to know now. Now!
After a long wait, Team Milizia finally received confirmation they've nudged past Holcim PRB's record, setting the new bar of 641.13 nautical miles. Now the celebrations can truly begin.
We got it?
Yeah!
We got it? Yeah! Nice one, man. Well done, yeah.
Let's go to the bar in Scotland.
Meanwhile, Beerterm's fortunes could hardly be more opposed to that of their rivals. Lagging around 500 miles behind the rest of the pack, their woes continue to pile up as the weather turns against them.
Change of weather system. It means that they arrive to catch the front of a low pressure, and we stay behind this. So it means that every mile was a double loss because we did a lot of additional course. Every day it's harder because we have less wind and more waves.
With Beaterm effectively out of the running for the leg, the race is very much on between the front three teams, who are separated by as little as 8 nautical miles. Life on board continues to be a struggle as Team Malizia's Will Harris finds out the hard way.
I just fell badly in a wave, just doing something stupid, a moment of not looking out for something, and then I ended up with all my body weight on my neck, and now I have a very sore neck.
No, it's not very fun at the moment because the waves are big and the wind is strong. And we've got no wind instruments, we've no idea what's happening. And it's really hard to get the boat balanced and going at a steady speed. It's either going too fast and you're waiting to stop, or it's not going fast enough and you're getting annoyed that it's not going fast enough. And now we're going 30 knots and we're waiting for it to crash.
For last place Beaterm, things aren't looking any better in what has been a disastrous leg for them. They discover they have a broken shroud, a crucial piece of equipment in holding up the mast. A difficult and dangerous repair job is undertaken, which the crew hope will be enough to get them to Aarhus, where a full repair can be made.
Situation not totally under control, but we fix some safety line. If we reach Aarhus with no more issue, it's not a big deal to change shroud. Normally, the idea is to take care of the boat, sail simple, and reach Aarhus in good shape. Beaterm spirit, still the same, huh? Fighting against the elements.
With enough done to secure the mast for the moment, progress will have to be extremely slow to ensure no more damage occurs. Beaterm now find themselves in a battle against time to be in Aarhus in just 6 days for the in-port race. As the teams approach Denmark, 11th Hour Racing Team continue to set the pace out front. It's far from a decisive lead though, with Holcim PRB just 25 miles behind them and Team Malizia another 15 miles back, but travelling at a blistering pace as they chase down their rivals. If 11th Hour Racing Team can maintain their lead, they have a chance to land a blow in the race for the title, as the double points awarded on this leg would see them take the lead in the overall standings for the first time.
3, 2, 1, yes!
Nice job.
Hello.
Come here, mate. Very good sailing with you.
In the early hours of the morning, it's 11th Hour Racing Team who cross the finish line first.
I don't think it's totally set in yet that we're leading the race, because we've come obviously so far from the beginning, and more than from the beginning when we finished leg 3 in Brazil. But I think we really turned a page there, and I think you see that in the results and just how the team's carried itself these last, well, I don't know, whatever it is, 6 weeks or something like that. So it's great. Obviously, the goal is to be sitting in this position in July, but certainly this is a big step in the right direction.
Behind 11th Hour Racing Team, the battle for second place is raging. Having trailed their rivals for almost the entire leg and still being 8 miles behind with only 50 to go, Team Malizia scrapped their way back to within less than a mile of Holcim PRB as they approach Aarhus.
11th Hour Racing Team have taken first place, but there is a fierce battle going on behind them for second spot. As things stand, Team Holcim PRB have a 4-mile lead, but Team Malizia are gaining ground on them.
Trim, more trim. Trim, trim, trim.
50 miles to go to the finish, and there's less than a mile between them. This race is going right down to the wire. It's Team Holcim PRB who takes second spot. They cross the finish line just minutes ahead of their rivals, and that could be crucial in keeping them in running for the overall title.
The new IMOCA were quite extreme. I can tell you that doing 640 miles in 24 hours is definitely not comfortable. And finishing second means that we still have in our hands all we can do in order to win the ocean race. We have to be in front of 11th hour on the next 2 legs.
You are looking at the new 24-hour speed record holders, Team Malizia!
I think it was excellent sport, excellent yachting, excellent racing. That's the first priority for all of us, and I think we delivered that at the highest level. And we were 0.8 mile or so, or 0.5 mile at the finish. There could have been a small wind shift, a small gust, and it's just nice to know that it was so close.
As for Beaterm, with no prospect of them arriving in time for the next leg if they continue, the race committee makes the decision to shorten the course, effectively ending their leg north of Scotland.
3, 2, 1, top! So we cut finish line. They've shortened the course for us, so we just crossed the meridian line. And yeah, 4th place, which is good. And now we're preparing for the next leg.
The team make it as far as Kristiansand in Norway, where they are met by the shore team and the damaged shroud can be replaced, before a rush journey down to Aarhus in order to be ready for the next import race in just 4 days' time. This means that for the first time in the race, 11th Hour Racing Team establish a lead over their rivals as they move up to 28 points, with Holcim PRB in second on 27, Team Militia on 24, with Beaterm and Grio Environment Team Europe lagging behind on 17 and 2 points, respectively. With 3 teams in the battle for the title, attention turns to the business end of the race and what awaits them on the journey to The Hague.
Leg 6 will be very coastal, and probably a lot of encounters with vessels and oil rigs and wind farms and traffic separation zones. So slaloming around these things is part of the challenge.
Just navigating in and around here in boats that are going 25 to 30 knots with very low visibility around marks and headlands and shoals, and can't have any mistakes there. Not what the boats are designed to do, but we're going to do it.
It's going to be different, it's going to be very tiring. I think we will not have much sleep at all. We will keep on pushing. It's again points and it's only 2 days, so we will just give everything to become first in The Hague.
Certainly the team that's going to win this race is the one that performs best in the last 2 legs. And that opportunity exists today, so let's ride it.